Hello, this is Pastor Greg. Thank you for joining us here on our YouTube page and for all the love that you show us through your comments and through your subscriptions. If you haven't already subscribed, please click the button below and subscribe here on our YouTube page. And additionally, if this ministry, if the messages that you're hearing have blessed you, inspired you, and encouraged you, please consider donating to CSC through PayPal so that we can continue to bring these messages and the music to you. Where there is injury, I pardon, I forgive. Because I recognize that it's the power of forgiveness that will change our world and our experience. Good morning, Celebration Spiritual Center. How are we doing? Good. It's good to see you all. Thank you, Roy, for reading the synopsis of what we're going to get into this month. We're talking about service. We're talking about serving. With the overarching topic, who you are is who we need. But I recognize and realize that if we're going to talk about service, first, we need to be clear about what service is not. And what I've come to find and understand in my own life and in the life of others is that we think that serving means to sacrifice. We think that serving means we have to give up something or we have to lose something or someone has to take advantage of us or maybe we have to do something for nothing, and that's what service is. And all of that equates to sacrifice. Now, I was reminded in February in our series, Write Your Own Love Song, we talked about in the context of relationships, that sacrifice is not necessary in relationships. That I think many of us have gotten to this place where we have what I call a Jesus complex. That we think we have to put ourselves on the cross for our partner in order for him or her to be happy. But there is no requirement for us to be Jesus in the context of our relationships. There's no requirement for us to be Jesus and get on the cross and sacrifice ourselves in our workplace, in our families, wherever it may be. I want you to know that sacrifice is a four-letter word. Yes. Now, as I thought about sacrifice, I thought about how we celebrate sacrifice and sort of where these ideas come from. And for me, it brought up the image of a soldier. And I think that soldiers, there's something very powerful about the image of a soldier. I was even reminded as we think about heroism and sacrifice on Thursday, we're celebrating the 13th anniversary of 9/11. It's a date that we all remember, but I can remember the year, how many years it's been, because my daughter was born in 2001 in December. So just a few months after 9/11, she was born. And so she turns 13 this year. I know that we're celebrating or commemorating the 13th anniversary of that time. And so, of course, all throughout the news and media, there have been movies that were made that celebrated this heroism, that celebrated the sacrifice of the police officers, that celebrated the sacrifice of the firefighters, that celebrated the sacrifice of those named and unnamed, known and unknown, who put themselves in harm's way. And so we have a history and a tradition. Again, if we go back to the image of the soldier and we think about the military, we're constantly seeing movies that celebrate that sense of heroism, that sense of looking out for your comrade and looking out for your fellow soldier. And many have received medals because they carried someone on their back and moved them into safety. And we recognize that there's something beautiful about that the heroism of it is beautiful. And I recognize we have some veterans in the house today, and we honor and we celebrate you all. And so we're going to look at who and what a soldier is, recognizing that you don't have to sacrifice, but there are some powerful elements in who and what a soldier is that we can begin to use as we're learning about what service really is. So, Pastor Greg, you're saying that sacrifice is a four-letter word. You're saying that we don't have to sacrifice. You're saying to me that, as you said, in the context of relationships, I can get rid of this Jesus complex, that I don't have to put myself on the cross to serve, that I don't have to go without. I don't have to die in order for someone else to live, or in order for someone else to be in joy, or in order for someone else to receive that which they are desiring. So how do I do that? How do I get rid of this idea of sacrifice? How do I stop using that four-letter word? And so I have three things that we're going to look at today. And so I'll start with the first one. How do you move out of a place of sacrifice? Well, the first thing is you have to make agreements that feel good. Now, why do I say that? Well, because I recognize that many times we make agreements that we think will make us look good. We make agreements that include a little bit of sacrifice. We make agreements to avoid disappointing someone else, but in my life in my world, when I try to avoid disappointing someone and make an agreement with sacrifice, I end up disappointing them and myself anyway, right? And then I was reminded of, there's a quote that I love from Abraham Hicks that asked the question, was this idea born of inspiration or desperation? So when we talk about making agreements that feel good, what's interesting to me is that when we begin to learn how to make agreements that feel good, then we're able to keep those agreements and keep those commitments. Because what I've found is that many times if I've made a decision or made a choice to participate in something or serve in some way, shape, or form, but if I was honest with myself, it didn't really feel good. If I was honest with myself, I really didn't have the time for it. If I'm honest with myself, I really wanted to make the other person feel good. If I was honest with myself, I didn't want to be seen as someone who doesn't commit to things. All these different reasons that I had that had nothing to do with feeling good, but had everything to do with pleasing someone or something outside of me. At that point, eventually I got annoyed. Eventually I was like, I ain't got time for that, right? I hear my sister, Sweet Brown, ain't nobody got time for that, right? But we get to the ain't nobody got time for that place after we've already made the decision that didn't feel good. Right? We've already made a choice and an agreement with sacrifice. So if you recognize and realize that sacrifice is a 4-letter word, then what you must begin to do is first make agreements that feel good. And then you'll be able to keep your agreements. Because again, what happens because when we don't make an agreement that feels good, right? When we don't fully honor ourselves, we go down the line, we started, and we may commit in that moment, and we may have a sense of consistency, but eventually we drop off. And so then we become a person that doesn't commit. Then we become a person that doesn't show up, right? Then we become that person. But if we made an agreement in the beginning with what felt good, then we could actually experience a life that we desire. We can experience what we want as we're giving and receiving. I was reminded just this week, Pastor Yolanda and I, we had to make a decision about something. And, there was a problem, and we had to fix it. And individually, we each, the first thing that we wanted to do was essentially make an agreement with sacrifice. Both of us, first I made a choice and I was like, okay, I will lose out so we can fix this problem, right? And I was like, that's done, that's it, we're not talking about it. And then a few minutes later, she said, no, I'll go without so we can fix the problem and you'll be all right, right? Both of us were making an agreement that didn't feel good, right? Because as she said, I said, but does that feel good? Like, what? Play it all the way out. If you play this out, you're making an agreement with sacrifice. We're both making an agreement with sacrifice. I said, what if this moment is a moment for us to simply make an agreement with trust? What if this moment is a moment for us to make an agreement with things are always working out for us, that all is well, and there's actually nothing for us to do, right? And we sat with that for a minute, and that felt good. That started to feel really good, right? Because we recognized that it was also challenging and awakening our faith in another way. And so we made that choice. We made an agreement that felt good, and we're here on the other side of it still feeling good, and things have worked out for us and are working out for us. But we could have made that agreement with sacrifice. We could have made that agreement with struggle, and we wouldn't have been feeling good even though the problem was solved, thinking that we had to do something about it when we actually only needed to trust. So make agreements that feel good. This is the first key if you want to move out of sacrifice. What's the second key? Trade good intentions for love intentions. Now, the famous phrase says that the road to destruction is paved with good intentions. I would say the road to pain many times is paved with good intentions. When we go into a situation, as I just spoke of, when we go into a situation when we're agreeing to serve in a certain capacity, or we're agreeing to take on a certain project, or to be a part of some particular movement or experience, in that moment, our intentions are good. Yes, yes? Yes. Right? In that moment, we really want to be a part of this thing. We really think we can do it. All of those things are good. But good intentions are different than love intentions. And what I was reminded of is one of the foundational beliefs of this church, that love is the more excellent way. And that's rooted in a famous verse on love from the book of Corinthians, 1 Corinthians 13:48. Now, we find it in Corinthians, but we also actually find it in the Essene Gospel of Peace. And so in the book of Corinthians, it's attributed to the Apostle Paul, but the Essene Gospel of Peace is attributed and in the mouth of Jesus. Now, based on my scholarship, based on my research, based on what I know to be true, I recognize that this verse probably came from Jesus over the Apostle Paul, mainly because Jesus is the one that was always talking about love. This is kind of an abstract verse out of the blue that all of a sudden Paul is espousing the attributes of love, where we really don't get that kind of thing from him anywhere else. But of course, if we look at the words attributed to Jesus, we see that over and over again. And what are these words? Love is patient. Love is kind. Love is not envious or boastful or arrogant or rude. It does not insist on its own way. It is not irritable or resentful. It does not rejoice in wrongdoing, but rejoices in the truth. It bears all things, believes all things, hopes all things, endures all things. Love never ends. Now, when we hear that definition of love, when we hear that description of love, right? And then we're thinking about good intentions versus love intentions. Love is patient, love is kind, love is not envious, boastful, arrogant, or rude. That means that you have to make a choice that is first loving yourself, right? And so the idea of being patient and kind with yourself first, what if that's your love intention? I think if we begin to trade good intentions for love intentions and decide to be patient and kind with ourselves, there's certain situations we just won't get into. There's certain situations we just won't say no to. It won't even be a situation where we end up sacrificing ourselves. There won't even be a situation when we feel that we're taken advantage of. There won't even be a situation where now we feel bad and shameful because we haven't met our commitments. There won't even be that situation because you loved yourself first. You stood in love intentions first. It says love rejoices in truth. It does not rejoice in wrongdoing. It believes all things. It hopes all things. It endures all things. This love is working in and as you and seeking to clue you in and kind of tell you, no, don't make that choice. That's not the one. I hear your good intentions, but listen to me. Love intentions. There's a different choice you can make. Sometimes that choice is no. I've said it before. No is a complete sentence. So sometimes the choice is no. No, thank you. No, bye. Right? Sometimes that's the choice, and you can feel good about that when you recognize that you've made an agreement that feels good, and then you've traded good intentions for love intentions. So then we come to the last point, which is my favorite. I always save the third one. The best is for last. Become a soldier of joy. And this is why I say we want to celebrate the attributes of who and what a soldier is. Because a soldier is a powerful figure, a powerful symbol, right? That a soldier's job is to go into harm's way no matter what. A soldier takes the command of the general or whomever is in charge. A group of soldiers come together, and by their collective force of listening to one voice, they can move mountains. By coming together and listening to one voice, listening to one general, they can achieve things that just can't be achieved by one person. But a soldier is someone that is able to take that command without questioning it. When you're a soldier, you learn very clearly, and as the soldiers are here in the room, when you're in boot camp, right, you learn very clearly that you could not question your commanding officer, right? You took what your commanding officer said and you moved forward. No matter what. You might have thought there was danger ahead, but you went forth anyway. That's what a soldier does. And what I think has happened, because we recognize that there's something noble and there's something powerful and something beautiful about the aspects of the soldier. I was in ROTC in high school, and I'm grateful for all that I learned, the discipline that I learned, the way that I learned to work together as a group to reach a common goal, the way I learned to care about my appearance as we had our inspections and we had to take care in our uniforms and show up on time and learn how to be. All of these things that I learned are things that are part of my life now. We recognize that there's something powerful and amazing about the symbol of a soldier. But I have a question for you. What would it look like if you became a soldier for your joy? Now, we talked about it last week. We talked about that there's an I within you that speaks to the me. The I is the masculine part of you. The me is the feminine part of you. And the I speaks the command, and the feminine takes that and creates, right? Well, what if, as a soldier, you began to listen to your inner general? and begin to hear the word of that inner general that's speaking to you, that's calling you to make an agreement with those things that feel good, that is reminding you to live from a place of love intentions, that is reminding you that you don't have to do things to try to please someone, that your worthiness already is, it's established. So you're not making choices based on, oh, if I do this, I'll feel good, or I'll feel worthy, or if I do this, then they'll see that I matter, and if I do this, then someone will celebrate my perfection, and if I do this, then maybe this will make up for all of the times that my mother or father didn't celebrate me, or if I do this, and it'll make up for all the times that I didn't get the grades that I wanted to get when I was younger, or if I do this, it'll make up for those times when I messed up in that last relationship. If I do this, then it'll make up for all of these other mistakes that you may have thought that you made, and then you begin to make choices based on that. What if you begin to listen to your inner general? Because again, I say, the attributes of the soldier, it's good, noble, and just. But what about instead of falling on the sword, sacrificing yourselves, you fall into joy? Fall into joy. What if you go to war for ease? What if you go to war for peace of mind? What if you go to war for your happiness? It's the same energy. It's the same attribute. It's the same power. It's using the power of your I, speaking that word to the soldier that you are, but creating what you want. Taking the army that you are, if you will, but then having an experience that you want. Because I hope I'm in the right room, but when you've sacrificed in your life, did it feel good ultimately? Did the sacrifices feel good? Did it really work out in your favor? Because if it did, please continue that path. Because our goal is joy. Our goal is happiness. And if the goal, the path of sacrifice brings you joy, if you feel good down the line, if 3 months after you've made the choice you still feel good, beautiful. But if you haven't, then it's time to make a new choice. Make an agreement that feels good. And be absolutely honest with yourself. Nobody's judging you. Nobody is judging you. Because when you say no to somebody, then you're making room for someone else's yes. You're making room for someone else to come in and fill that space. You know, we are absolutely unique, powerful beings. And we're not the only beings here. So it's not all up to you. It's not all up to you. But then the next part, trade good intentions for love intentions. What if you loved yourself first? Instead of putting that love out there and wanting to demonstrate, oh, well, this person in a relationship, my partner will know that I love them because I sacrifice in this way. My partner will know that I love them because I gave all of my savings to them so that they could do something that they needed to do, and now I can't pay my bills, but they'll know that I love them, right? I mean, we've all made some crazy sacrifices. I've done it, right? I'm speaking from a place of lessons learned. Yes, yes? All right? Love intentions, loving yourself first. And then finally, again, what I recognize, the impetus, the thing that's pushing us, that wants us to sacrifice, that we think we have to sacrifice, is because of the beauty and the power of the soldier. There's a soldier within each and every one of us. The only difference is, which general do you want to listen to? And what I'm saying to you is, you have an inner general, God, the source, that is reminding you to make agreements that feel good, that is reminding you to trade good intentions for love intentions, that is reminding you that you can be a soldier for joy, that you can go to war for your peace of mind, that you can go to war for ease in life, that you can go to war for peace in your world, that you can go to war for peace and ease in your family, in your relationships, in your finances. But you can see it, I see it in your faces, you can see that it's a different shift of focus when you use this soldier that is within you for your joy, rather than using the soldier to please the command of someone outside of you. I'm actually done. Because this is just the first part. We have 4 weeks. We're going to dig deeper in. But again, what I recognize is that until we can talk really about serving, we got to understand what serving is not. And so when you're being of service, the universe says who you are is who you need. You don't have to come perfect. You don't have to come with it all figured out. You don't have to come with the right clothes on. You don't have to come with the right credentials. None of that matters. Who you are as you are is exactly who and what the universe needs. Who you are as you are is exactly what CSC needs. Who you are exactly as you are is who and what your family needs. Your place of work, wherever you may be, as you are right now is what's needed, without anything added. But recognize, please, that sacrifice is a 4-letter word. And anyone and anything that loves you would never require sacrifice. Love does not equal sacrifice. Oh my God, love does not equal sacrifice. And so with that, I invite everyone to stand. Love is the more excellent way. Love is patient, love is kind, love bears all, love hopes all. And importantly, love never ends, love never fails. It always is. So even when we made and make those good intention decisions, even in the past when we've done that, love is still here. And we can simply turn our attention back to love. Even when we made those agreements with sacrifice, even when we sacrificed ourselves, there's still the inner general within you that is patiently waiting with commands that will bring you back to joy, that will bring you back to happiness, that will bring you back to ease, that will bring you back to peace. Oh, Mother, Father, God, I am so grateful for this moment that we're in, for this awareness, to remember that sacrifice is a 4-letter word. To remember that there is no one or no thing on this earth that is requiring us to live from a Jesus complex, to put ourselves on the cross and sacrifice ourselves for someone else. We recognize that love does not equal sacrifice. And love starts with loving ourselves first. We hear the inner general that we'll call love today. We hear it speaking words, reminding us to love ourselves. We hear it speaking words to us, that we're already worthy and we do not have to make decisions to try to prove our worthiness. We hear the words of love that says, you are perfect, you are whole and complete. There's nothing you have to do to prove that or add to that. We hear the words of love that says, you remain as God created you. From the beginning, we were given a command to be fruitful and multiply, to be great as I am great, to be creators as I am a creator. And you can do this with ease and with effortlessness. We hear the words, we hear the affirmation today that we are without limits. There is nothing holding us down. There is nothing holding us back, but there is everything pushing us forward. There is everything that is celebrating us. There is everything that is applauding us. There is everything, this entire universe, you, God, which are the entire universe, is like the wind behind our sails. So we open ourselves up inwardly and allow you, God, the wind, the breath, to blow us into success, to move us forward easily and effortlessly down this stream of well-being into all that we desire and all that we want to experience without sacrifice. So we choose to march through our weeks and through our days until we come back here next Sunday, living from this place that now we know that sacrifice is a 4-letter word. We take it out of our vocabulary. It's unloving and it's not beneficial. We take it out of our vocabulary and we trade it with joy. We trade it with love. We trade it with agreements that feel good. For this, I am so very grateful, and I release these words back into you, knowing that you will bring the fruit of these words forth easily and effortlessly always. And together we lift up our voices and we say, Amen, Amen. Ashe. Ashe. And so it is. And so it is. Yes, yes. Thank you, God.